Oh, that's truly amazing and quite impressive, remarkable and astonishing.
The coolest thing about motorcycles is lying down on them, right?
The best thing about motorcycles is when you finally stop riding them. Let me tell you how things really are. This is sponsored content and we were supposed to compare different types of Triumph Tigers 1200, but some obstacles came up. One obstacle and at the same time a convenience cease right here.
Hey.
It's a convenience because he's ridden the Tiger more than I have. The 1200 more than me. The difficulty is that we have limited time. And also that instead of several different Tigers, we have two of the same.
They're not the same. Some aerodynamic elements are missing.
We'll get to that.
And even without that, it rides completely differently.
I'd just like to point out, did you mention that in your show?
I mentioned it, but only a little, because it's an entertainment travel show, not a technical masturbatory one.
A sponsored, triumphant one, not a reliable one. If your leg is 1.5 meters long, your knee will dig into the knee guard designed for an average person. And reliably...
I did mention that you have to remove the guard, and then it's great.
So you did after that?
Yes.
Which episode?
The 4th one.
Martin, I'll be honest with you. Yes, I watched that show.
But now you're talking to me? Something?
Out of politeness.
Ah, okay.
But today we have a real adventure. Because, like true adventurers, we're going to TED. And like a true aspiring celebrity and a real celebrity, we'll only do this much of TED. But I recorded footage as if we were going for the whole thing.
I really like that, and we'll just show that part.
I really like that Marcin and I have a very similar approach to work, which is so loudly criticized in the comments under our content on YouTube. But we'll get back to that later as well. I think YouTube comments are for the weak. Real motorcyclists can't read. Real.
Motorcyclists write comments. And here in front of us are some other real motorcyclists. Look. Well, I'll be truly damned if that's not
something I really need.
Apart from a Ducati timing system. Yeah, it looks like a piece from a Desmo. Take a look.
Okay.
Okay. Did you ride this? And this isn't yours?
I think it is. And today we...
Well, here you go. I found it for you.
We're heading to TED. If it was called TIT, we'd be more eager to go.
You know, we still haven't made it off-road yet. I know, but I wanted you to have nice photos. Nice photos of me lying there, kind of in a puddle. Now we can show how to lift up a motorcycle when it falls over.
I'll quote Jasik Zacher.
How did this happen? I don't know.
Number.
I'm not talking in.
Mr. Jasik, what about when an adventure motorcycle like this falls over? So how do you lift it up with two people?
But aren't you interested in what happened here? Number.
Really? Well, I know what happened here. You were riding this way, you gave it some gas.
Number. It was definitely less complicated than you think. The
front just slipped out.
No, guess. Guess what happened?
You just decided to... Oh, you put your foot down and it slipped out from under you in the mud.
Yes. I wanted to adjust my helmet. I stopped, attempting to put my foot down firmly, but unfortunately the tread on my boot was not very good at all. Consequently, it just slipped right out from under me, causing me to lose my balance. This happened at a critical moment, right as I was trying to regain control. 3, 2, 2. Alright. Right? Now, at least it looks legit. Now we can start filming. Admitted you did it on purpose. I wish I could say that, but unfortunately it's not true. You just
slipped on that particular supplica, which was quite unexpected.
We can even recreate that situation. You ride into the mud yourself some proper boots, not just flashy ones.
If you think about it, just imagine now that by riding this way along this red line, or that way along this red line, you could go around Europe, come hovering over 10,000 kilometers, mostly on roads like these. That's awesome. Us here or there, I mean the road points that way.
Do you know if that's the normal route?
I mean here it's what it usually is. I mean indeed. This is truly beautiful. It's not just beautiful in a simple sense, but profoundly, breathtakingly beautiful. The intricate details, the harmonious colors, the exquisite composition, everything about it contributes to an overwhelming sense of aesthetic perfection. One could spend an eternity gazing upon this magnificent sight and still discover new layers of wonder. The sheer artistry and elegance of display is simply astounding, evoking a deep sense of admiration. It's a testament to pure beauty, a visual symphony that resonates deeply within the soul, leaving an indelible impression of absolute splendor. This is a moment of pure, unadulterated beauty that captivates the senses and elevates the spirit. No, not like that. Supposed to say?
We'll just say we drove into this hole and it's awesome. That taggers are made exactly for this, to get off the asphalt and ride around on side roads.
Don't you think, or do you regret now, that you bought an apartment in Bydgoszcz instead of a house in the Lublin region?
I think I have a friend who has a plot of land in the Lublin region who doesn't really know what to do with it. And it's actually not that far away, so maybe we can work something out.
Generally speaking, I have some thoughts.
Yes.
Because when we were out on the tests, official ones, with the HM Rally Explorer and the Rally, because one has a small tank, the other a big one.
Don't mind me, I'm just changing my position.
So that it's truly
comfortable.
A small tank, big tank. All the guys, everyone said no, the one with the small tank is better riding position, rides better, something like that. Because during the official tests, what we do, we have the idiot British guide. We're just a bunch of idiots. It's just...
When normal people ride, who don't have some super extensive experience riding motorcycles, of course, I'm not talking about Andrzej, because Andrzej has been riding for 3 years already and has had his license for 2, so he already knows how to ride. It's just a very extensive, perhaps even an adventurous and quite lengthy journey, a type of extended expedition or prolonged travel experience, specifically within the captivating and historically rich region of the Balkans, which is known for its diverse landscapes and cultural heritage. To be honest, I was a bit worried about whether I'd be able to handle such a beast, because having previously ridden lighter motorcycles, which are meant for something a bit different, I had the feeling that I wasn't really in control of this one. And it really does take a moment to get used to, for this motorcycle to start listening to you. But if you allow, you have to let it guide you with all those electronic aids, with off-road mode, and let go a bit of the need to control the machine. In slightly more challenging and demanding conditions, like these, not quite extreme or perilous yet, it just effortlessly rides completely on its own. That shouldn't bother you. That's
the rule, whether it's bicycles, motocross, or big motorcycles. Don't get in the motorcycle's way. When it's this big, you start to think it might not work out, right?
Yes.
But now, attention, what do you say? Experienced or inexperienced? Today, the best run was by Łukasz, who is the least experienced, because he hasn't ridden in the Balkan Share, he just putters around the Biszczady in his 45. There was a huge puddle. We could have shown off with the camera, but we didn't feel like getting our shoes wet. We could have driven through the puddle, but we decided to go around it. And that was a sign of professionalism, because a professional knows when he can. So professionals also ride calmly, especially when they have to cover 10,000 kilometers. So how did we get there? And you didn't even notice the puddle. Admit it, you didn't even know.
I knew, man. You just have a nose for these things. Simply,
It was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You drove through a puddle. And I started thinking, okay, so how do I get through it? And I stopped sideways. And what did Łukasz do? He saw one puddle, then another, and noticed that between one puddle and the next, there was a bit of dry ground. And he just drove over the dry part.
so he's the most reasonable one among all of us. But honestly, as a 2-meter tall person, I find it more comfortable. To ride the Explorer Pro, which comes equipped with the significantly bigger fuel tank rather than the slightly slimmed down version.
No, so the Rally Explorer, that is definitely the one. Yes, that's the one we're talking about. It's a very capable and exciting vehicle.
Yes, it's even written on it.
You might not have noticed that after thousands of kilometers of riding, it was...
Covered in mud. The Rally Explorer is the one with the big tank. I enjoy riding it more because it has a slightly different plastic geometry here, so it's more comfortable for me. And secondly, you really don't feel that extra weight all that much. I don't see a big difference.
It only becomes noticeable when we were riding really fast, in a way you normally don't ride these motorcycles. But there's one more thing. There were always comments like, why do you need those big tanks? After all, you mostly ride in Europe, in civilized places. And yet, there's fuel.
That's because Łukasz was already down to just 1 bar left on his motorcycle. And obviously, with just 1 bar, you can't really go much further.
In the Street Scrambler, when we have 1 bar left, that's like a whole 10x10 area. Here we managed to cover...
Almost 20. 2 bars out of 20.
Yes. Out of those 10.
Yes.
But when you were somewhere in Albania, you also had situations where you were out of fuel, so if the tanks were smaller, you would have had a problem, right?
Yes, you also have to pay attention to one thing, which almost got us into trouble in a rather tricky situation. In the Albanian mountains, specifically when the motorcycle, whether intentionally or unintentionally, you lay it down on its side, because sometimes you can't even put it on the kickstand. In tougher conditions, the fuel level sensor can go crazy and report complete nonsense. For a moment, my brother was ready to stay in the forest and die, because it was showing him only 3 kilometers to empty. But after riding for a bit and everything stabilized, it turned out that wasn't the case. It wasn't 3, but 17. And that makes a difference. You can avoid spending the night in a very gloomy Albanian village where no one can read, and many people look at you as if you might be their next meal. And the second thing that really proved itself on this motorcycle during this Albanian or rather Balkan adventure is the electronics, which really make a difference. I always thought these electronic aids were just unnecessary gimmicks, but it's a completely different story when you're riding in off-road mode, even on a relatively simple dirt road like this. And if I wanted to tackle it in road mode, it wouldn't be so easy. The suspension works completely differently.
I mean, sure, if you know how, you can ride on any mode, but if you don't, then But having that assistance on your side really feels like a huge advantage. But you also have traction control, because that's also... I found out when you messaged me that you were riding in pouring rain, probably even before your off-road adventure started. And you said that you don't trust whether the traction control works or not. I was shocked, because for me it was proof that a lot of people who have traction control on their motorcycle might never actually know how it works. Because there was never an opportunity to try it out, because they never rolled in a way that would make it activate, and you're afraid to trust it yourself to check if it actually works.
Well, because it's different than in a car. If you trust the traction control and it lets you down, you don't get a second life. In a car, after all, you have 4 wheels, not 2. And there, every grip is easier to control. And here, for someone who isn't very experienced, especially someone who's just getting on this motorcycle, because after a few 100 kilometers, you start to trust it more. But in those first kilometers, you get the feeling that every deeper lean, that every turn is a huge battle with the laws of physics. And that it's just going to tip over in that turn, especially at lower speeds during tight U-turns. And only after spending some time with this machine do you start to trust it enough that you stop feeling its weight. That's what I mean.
Yes, there was a tip from Uncle Andrzej. Eat on the wet, go straight. You did it, go straight. And did it start working? Yes. So it was safe.
Uncle Andrzej knows his stuff.
You go straight ahead if you don't know whether you have traction control, whether it's working or not. It's raining. You go straight ahead, really straight, and there are no white lines, nothing. And you do this with the throttle. And at that moment, the bike will want to break traction. If it doesn't work, it'll lose traction and you'll have time to close the throttle. If the traction control really works, you'll have that control.
That's how it was.
Let's go eat.
Let's go eat.
We still have only 999. 4 kilometers to go.
And the company motorcycle world card, that's why I'm here.
People will inevitably pass by and then return. There's a profound feeling of truly coming home, just like when I was a young child.
Get ready. Collaboration in the city of Rockwell